everybody, good evening and good afternoon, as we are now live here and with us, we are with Apex Racing and Chill, as we are live for round 6 it is, here at Spa-Francorchamps. As usually we always say, we're in for the same thing, but tonight we are for a very different thing. Finally the wait is over, we get started now as we only wait for a couple of minutes before we get into qualifying, as it's going to be a full 50-minute race today, and it's not the GR3 or GR2 cars, it is the F3500A, the cars, the Formula 1 inspired car on the GT7. These cars are pretty hard to drive, and drivers have found it very difficult so far. So let's see who's going to be the best and who will be able to do it the best way possible. Usually we have two 25-minute races, but tonight it'll be one 50-minute long race, as drivers are calling it an endurance race as well. So it's definitely going to be the one we will be having some fun out there. Not just one race, but it's going to be a little bit longer. So just before we get started, let's have a look at the drivers and the teams standings before going into this one. Before we get started for qualifying. So looking at this, Ryan Cooper leads it up ahead of everyone from Deep Forest. They could get 82 points, and overall it is 436 points for them, and then it is 430 for Plenty. Just about 8 points behind, it is RLD, who's got 422 as well. 10 points behind them, it is GT, who's on 412 points. 365 points for One Parawood in 5th place. Nemtined in 6th place with 344, along with Carl, who's sorry, that's actually Nemtined on 3. Nemtined's on 344. Then it is Smoke, who's on 334, and Carl is along with him, is on 334 as well. 380 for Nitu. Then comes Wolf, who's on 280 for Wolf. Need to, and then 278 for Wolf. 10 behind is Lisandra de Silva in with 268. 234 for Craze at 232 for Paige. Monte Carlos with 179, and Kane, who hasn't been able to join us from the last couple of weeks, is on 64. And then the Mercedes, the team names, so it's the same teams basically moving forward, but for this race, as it looks like, we've got different team names here, which is Mercedes-Benz with 959 points. Then it's the Lamborghini team with 623 points. Alfa Romeo with 611, which I believe would be the Apex original team. Then Lexus with 601, with Peugeot with 596 in 5th place. Then McLaren with 514. Then it'll be Porsche with 284 and 232 for BMW. Now let's not waste any time and get out on track. We don't have qualifying just yet, but only in a couple of minutes, as we got the message a few minutes ago. So it's going to be it's going to be GT out here in front of your screens right there. They could be Lamborghini. It's different liveries, obviously, so so again, Nitu is here, usually racing for Team Papaya, is on his own without a livery, so I wonder if their livery hasn't loaded up, or this is what they're running for this car. Do let me know if the car's audio is not much, because I've kept it lower, because usually these engines are very roaring, so if I keep it a little bit higher, you guys would find it pretty difficult to even hear me. So to avoid that, I've kept it a little bit lower. I can increase if it's needed. Meanwhile, now looking at this so far, obviously practice times are not what they tell, and usually we see a couple of fast times from qualifying, or even sometimes drivers are not even able to replicate the times they did in practice into qualifying. So it could be interesting here. So GT at the moment 49.579, 49.824 from Nitu. Is he going to be improving? Nope. What about Ryan Cooper? Ryan Cooper in that Red Bull. At least he's got the Red Bull livery by the looks of it. And the two teammates have done a brilliant job. He's running #1 on his car. And then it's going to be Paige for Team Payne, I believe it was. and RLD along with one Pura Wood for racing for Apex Originals. While looking at through the page, it is going to be Page, RLD in the pit, Smoke, along with Ryan Cooper, who's I wonder if he's coming in or he's going out. By the looks of it, he's coming in. No, he's going out actually, as in fact we are into qualifying. No, we're not yet in qualifying. Everybody says ready up, and we should be in qualifying very soon now, as just waiting on you know, for a few minutes maybe, and everything is, so that's perfect. It's great to hear. Sound is perfect, and last week we didn't have stream, but we're back with this one, so hopefully this one's going to be an enjoyable one. Also, not to forget, it's going to be only one race, just a single race out there, so that is going to be, you know, an interesting feat to see. While drivers usually get 2 races, usually get 25 minutes of 2 races, and you know, there's always that if you make a mistake you could recover, but around here, sure, you can recover in terms of 50 minutes, so in terms of time it's pretty much double in a single race. But I think drivers, even usually, they would be pretty careful, I'd say, and they'd take it easy in terms of just trying to take it easy, just trying to make it. Also, not to forget, it is double the points. So if drivers were getting 50 points for winning the race previously, they'll be getting 100 this time, and you know it's going to be definitely more fun. You could say that these cars are difficult to drive, so that's going to add to the element of mistakes, to the element of issues drivers are going to be having out there. So I'm sure drivers wouldn't really be liking it, but you know it's going to be interesting throughout, and they can get on, which will be fun to get on as well. So I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic one. Who are you supporting? Do let us know in the comments. Will we see Ryan Cooper? And now we're finally into qualifying, and we might just get our answer to who we're going to be seeing. And not to forget, it looks pretty overcast right now, so it's an interesting thing. And if we are to get any rain, these drivers are at least so far on a set of soft tires, and for the moment everybody is trying to get out. Smoke is the very first driver to be out on track already out there. Smoke and Plenty, the 2 teammates in the running that Williams Cannon livery as it is, as Need2 is without a livery by the looks of it, unless it hasn't loaded up for us. GT, and everybody's now out on track, apart from Page, who's just exiting the pits as well. So this is definitely about to get exciting, ladies and gentlemen. Is it going to be Smoke? Will it be GT back to the top? Need2 doing a maximum job last time. He had a pretty decent week throughout, so he's got another opportunity. Can Ryan Cooper come back to the top spot again? What about Plenty? Can we see another podium from Jones here in this race? And ooh, that's a Wolf going a little bit wide. Even on the formation lap, everybody's going left and right, and you know the pressure is high, and these cars are absolutely difficult to drive. And on top of that, the eyes are going to be on these drivers to see what they can do, and eventually what will they be showing us out here. While the qualifying stays same, 15 minutes, the race will be just a single 15-minute race, but double the points though. So if you do finish, if you do a good job, you are awarded very good points out there. Obviously, usually you had opportunities, but you didn't have the same opportunity in terms of, you know, the reverse grid. So if you started the win race 1, you had to start from the back of the grid in race 2. And we are on. We already have drivers starting their flying laps. It's going to be Smoke. He'll be the very first driver to start a flying lap out here while we're in the cockpit with these drivers. It could be anybody. Well, we were just said that it was going to be Smoke, and by the looks of it, I wonder if he's made a mistake or simply just let GT get past him, because you know GT out there. As we're just going to hide the driver names to just make it look a little bit more cleaner out there by the looks of it. So GT out there, you'd say that we'll be the very first driver to start the lap. Need2 is on as well, right behind him. So it's already we have a driver ahead of everyone out on the track who will be registering their lap as they're just going to be driving through the middle sector now. Any drivers to the end of that first sector, how fast would their time be? And it's over 34 seconds, and I think that he was way past the sector times. And what about man right behind, and that's going to be Page in that car, 31.5 from Page out there. Meanwhile, there's a spin from somebody, and that is Plenty, who's already spun round. And has the incident started, or have they? Because trust me, I was watching these drivers practice earlier and definitely saw a couple of spins around the track. So already before the qualifying session, drivers were hesitant on it, about these cars, you know, new challenge. And I have never driven this car on this game, but even normally these classic Formula 1 cars are absolutely difficult to drive as compared to modern day cars. And over the finish line, it is going to be 150.7. It might not be one of the very fast times, as already beaten by Nitu. What about Smoke, who's just yet and about to go over the line? There's a driver ahead of them, and it'll be Jones who's going to be pretty quick, actually. Rather, they're going to be starting their lap now by the looks of it, as drivers are now just completing their laps. 50.7 from GT, 50.694 from Nitu fastest, 51.9 from Monte Carlos. Seems to be the best, not the best, obviously third best so far. What about Nemti Ned? He's over 2 minutes, so he's probably had a lap that'll need to be forgetting as well. What about Page? How good is this lap going to be? That's about good enough for P4, and these first runs of qualifying is going to be Argon, while RLD is at the moment in P10. With this lap on the board, he'll move up to P5. 152.7. So definitely with these first laps over, you know that the top two in 150s, how fast they are. Definitely, I saw some drivers do 149s. I believe Nito was one of them, even in the practice session. So definitely don't forget that. Don't be surprised if you see a little bit faster times. It's only the first couple of laps here in the session, so would expect drivers to switch tires, to come out on new tires again, and definitely by the looks of it, it'll be an interesting choice to see whether actually GT is going to go on straight on to improve on this lap, because by the looks, by how these cars are, drivers would probably eventually, IDEX, he is going to go over the line indeed. So as I was saying, that I would expect them to possibly do a couple of laps in rhythm to make it quick and to make yourself comfortable around the track. And GT has done it already. 150.2. Sees themselves go fastest and better than Nitu so far. What about the car of Ryan Cooper? He hasn't got a time on board, and it will not be the quickest at all. What about Plenty? He spun round on his first lap. He nearly loses it on the exit there, but over the line, that'll be 50.978. Decent enough for P3, which is a pretty decent time, you have to say, while drivers are there crossing the line. And there will be one of them who we might not be able to get our hold on, and that was actually Plenty coming into the pits, while Nimti is in P4. It might have been Numty who was coming over the line. It'll be Monte Carlos who's starting his lap out there. So that is now interesting. Drivers and improvements have been found. Earlier it was only 2 drivers in the 150s. Right now it is 3, with Plenty making ground as well. Where Plenty, he might have came in a bit straight away by the looks of it, as it is. And I'm not sure how many tire compounds these drivers have available. So if you guys know, do let me know. Usually, because in F1, obviously there's a selectable amount of tires. In F1 games, usually there's selectable amount of tires, compounds available for drivers to choose and go in qualifying. You can't go unlimited. So I'm not sure how it is in this one here. 154.544 from C Jones, who's racing on his own. That's a nice thick livery, I have to say. It's almost like the pink from the Racing Bulls car for one of the American GPs, I believe. And it'll be GT who's at the top ahead of everyone. Will he improve and get further away from the rest of them? No, he can't. Just about 16 hundredths of a second, and that will not be enough for him to be improving, and by the looks of it, will he come into the pits? Yes, he will as well. So that's going to be a end of his first couple of qualifying laps, while Page is in P6 out there. Right now, this will be beginning their flying lap as well, and obviously qualifying, so you'd only see drivers on the set of soft compound tires, which would give them the best opportunity, the best bet for a chance and an improvement of a lap. Meanwhile, one man who needs an improvement of a lap at the moment, Monte Carlos, 1:15.19 from them so far, but how good will this one be? They come into the pits, rather would have decided, okay, it's time for us to come into the pit, and possibly, just time to get on. What about all those who are on a lap? Meanwhile, RLD in the middle of a flying lap out there. Those those drivers that we are looking for to see them on a flying lap. Nimty Ned on an out lap as well, so just not yet has started their lap, while RLD, so is C Jones, and he's found it over a second on his time. He certainly needs more than that, but that's about it, what he's found in that middle sector. So interesting to see what that's going to be. We're trying to find the driver who is the one going over the line, and that's not going to be, eventually that's not going to be, that was going to be one of them starting their flying laps. But what about C Jones here? He certainly was improving in that middle sector. How much of an improvement do they find overall? And up to the line, that'll be 52.9, 1.6 seconds better than their previous time, as RLD right behind them jump up to P4 as well. So they haven't got their teammate Montparawood today, so it's just them carrying the Apex Originals team out there. So they've got the opportunity to carry on and leave a mark as much as they can. Double the points, so possibly double the fortune for them as a driver, then as a team as well. But also, Ryan Cooper is running on his own as well, I believe, because Losandro wasn't able to make up a previous race, I believe. And we don't see him on this one as well, while Ryan Cooper might be on his own right now in P10, but would be looking to improve. We'll be looking to make improvements moving forward. Plenty is in P3 and on a flying lap out there. This is a nice little camera view around to just be on the T-cam of the driver, and up to the line. That might not be an improvement. It won't be, just by barest of margins, and these are the things that matter. Sometimes you'd say, okay, I've got the lap in, but that final corner could have eventually been the reason that they lost those 5 milliseconds, and now they'll need to go again, just 5 milliseconds to find any kind of an improvement. What about Numty? Moves up to P3, and now another driver into the 150s. So far, GT stand seems the best, but if anything is to go by those practice times, we might see need to improve. We might see GT himself improve and go up into the 149s, but it's only if he can. So, it'll be interesting to see. While we're on, RLD is on a out lap out there, while anybody who's on a flying lap, and that'll be C Jones. He finds another 7/10s, but just about in P8 right now, with 4 minutes pretty much remaining now, 11 minutes in, so 4 minutes remain in the session. That's all these guys have got. That's all they have got so far at the moment to begin and to, get started. They'll probably get to the end of qualifying, but then get started for their final runs, for the preparations of their final runs here in this session. It's not too long before we'll get to the end of it, and these 4 minutes might seem a lot, but around Spa it's almost a 2-minute out lap, so it takes a lot of time for you to go over the track, so you need to at least leave 2 minutes before. While Plenty currently stands in P4. Are we going to see them move forward? Nearly they missed out on the previous one. They will not on this one, as they're going to go up to the top and into P1. Just about 700ths of a second on their lap. They found an improvement, and up to P1, 150.156, and that is a pretty good lap time out there. 10th and a half required for anyone to still go up into the 49s, but it'll be interesting to see if we could see anybody go into those. Monte Carlos in P4 out there. What about drivers who are right now making their way around the final few corners? It is going to be Wolf, and then it is going to be Smoke. Wolf over 150s, so we're going to switch up to Smoke out there. He puts up a 152.142, and that's just about decent enough for P7 finish at the moment. And another driver who would be looking up soon on the track, going over the finish line, would be RLD. Doesn't find an improvement by the looks of it. What about Numti Ned? He's just starting their flying lap. And the next car on towards the finish line will be Ryan Cooper, but he's just starting his lap in as well. So possibly everybody who's not improving would simply just jump into the pits straight away and come out as soon as possible with new tires on, or even same tires on, which could possibly mean that they won't have much opportunity to improve, but at least they'll be out on the track, and they'll have just about enough in terms of you know, how much they need to improve. While Numpty Ned is finding those few hundreds, few tens, few milliseconds of a lap time. That might not seem a lot, but trust me, those are a lot when it comes down to the barest of margins, when it comes down to the end of a lap here. And GT is looking for a minimum 1/10 improvement to push himself up to P1. Will he be able to achieve that just over the line? No, he won't be. And that'll still be him staying in P2. What about Nitu? He's just on a out lap at the moment. So is Monte Carlos. Numpty Ned is on a flying lap out there, as that is now interesting, while C. Jones is on a flying lap as well. Numpty, who we're going to be heading to in this one, just at the end of that middle sector. He's a second down. He's a 1 whole second down on their lap. They go absolutely wide. They're going to slow down eventually and straight up come into the pits, but that would be pretty difficult for him to achieve. While Smoke is out there is also on his flying on an out lap as well. Anybody who is on a flying lap, it would be Ryan Cooper. Ryan, the man who was who started his was on an out lap earlier and is now on a flying lap while we're just navigating through around the circuit. Nitu is out there as well. I think by the looks of it, Ryan Cooper should be getting closer to the end of his lap. Currently his lap is only good enough for P8. And P8 so far, 152.1, so they need minimum of 2 seconds to get on towards pole position. Would they be able to achieve these 2 seconds? A bit of a shaky exit of the final corner up to the finish line. Only 34 hundredths of a second. Only 34 milliseconds. An improvement for Ryan Cooper. Your championship leader is only going to be in P7 out there, and that's pretty much the end of qualifying session for them, as we're nearly at the end of it for our top two who are in the pits. And everybody just right now, whoever is on a flying lap will be completing their lap, while everybody else will come to the end of it, as we're now going to be watching Nitu, who is car number 3, on their way in towards the end of the finish line, into the bus stop chicane now. Chances theirs, opportunities theirs to improve, and they nearly have a shaky entry, but they've got a very good exit out of the final corner. How good is it really? It is absolutely brilliant, as Nitu's going to get up to pole position and in a P1, 149.9. is a mega lap, and he's got it done. The only driver in the 149 so far. Are we going to see anybody behind on a quick lap and on a lap better than Nitu's out there? He's absolutely nailed this one. What about C. Jones, who's currently found himself in P9? So P9, yes indeed. He'll need a very good amount of improvement. He does improve, but is in P6, P7 still. What about Smoke? He's over 150s as well. Doesn't find an improvement, and just about, need to had it. He did his first lap in, went into the pits, probably didn't do a registered lap time out there, and when he did, it was the fastest of them all. And what an end to qualifying. This is fantastic out there. Let's go on to the results already. 2.5 tens, and in these cars, and on a weekend where every single driver is finding it absolutely difficult to drive, these 2.5 tenths are of huge margin for pole position. While Nito in P1, Plenty in P2, followed by GT in P3 out there with Monte Carlos in P4, Nimtined in P5 with RLD in P6. C Jones in P7 comes around by Ryan Cooper, who completes the top 8 with Smoke in P9, Page in P10 with Wolf in P11. And alright, somebody's asking for a little bit of a break out there, but I guess we might be taking that. Usually for race 1 there isn't a break, but for race 2 and grid is getting set up because of the reverse grid from race 1. Eventually it might be a couple of minutes of break maybe, because obviously we'll only have one race, so drivers possibly choosing their setups, drivers possibly being ready for, you know, just about getting ready, just about making the best preparations they can before the start of the race. And you know it's brilliant, you know it's stressful when drivers are asking for such breaks. So it's 50 minutes of racing, and 50 minutes are absolutely a huge time. Usually, I mean, it's about, you know, it's usually even more than 50 minutes. You know, we get a bit of a break before starting, and then a bit of it before the grid sets up. So usually it's a decent amount, and you know, as it is we should be starting anytime soon now. But 50 minutes actually would be just a couple of minutes less than usual. That's actually what I am eventually hoping for. So see, I think that's going to be, you know, and brilliant one out there with drivers. I think Nito's got an absolutely amazing time, while nobody was you know, able to get closer. Probably lower 150s we've had, but nobody in the 159s out there, so that's definitely interesting. And 50 minutes of a race. Actually, it's an endurance race. Usually we have laps, but right now it is 50 minutes itself, so which is interesting. And it's indeed a fire lap from Nitu. Absolutely amazing to get on, and well done to him out there. I think now it's all on to them to take it best, because sometimes such qualifying sessions could get on you, and you could probably get distracted by all the noise around you. I think last thing they'd want to happen to them would be noise getting to them, and I'm sure they'd be still prepared well. They'd still be putting you know, the amount of thing it's needed, while Plenty has left the room. Possible disconnection for them, you'd assume, and we're just waiting for it. And as soon as we have an update of when we'll be starting, I will be letting you guys know, and we'll be back in a bit. Alright, so we've got some information, and that is of we're going to be getting a lobby restart. By the looks of it, as obviously, you know, we're going to be we're going to be getting a lobby restart, as I should say. I shouldn't say that a couple of times, just one time should be enough. But yeah, so a lobby restarted, just 50 minutes of race, and interesting. I mean, you know, a lobby restart from as you should say, from qualifying to racing, which is obviously a bit of, you know, because of penalties, and interesting. So that would be an interesting thing out there. And as soon as we have an information, I'll let you know, because there's still 13 drivers out there. The race has been cancelled, which obviously is simply because we're going to be getting a new lobby. Maybe just simply things are getting restarted. Obviously, qualifying wouldn't be taking place, as in a couple of minutes we'd be starting. Still, we've 12 drivers in. Out there, I doubt who's on the track, as pretty much everybody is going to be now leaving the room because of it getting restarted. But obviously we'll only leave when there's an information of another one, you know, being out there. So as soon as we yep, room is being prepared, and eventually, yep, got so still drivers are in there, so possibly would have been just settings, and yes indeed, so settings, races indeed 50 minutes, forget about the laps, we've got the minutes here, as roaring's gonna be on. So as soon as we're ready to go racing, as soon as we see cars out on track, we'll catch it up with you guys. Up until then, just hold on there, don't go anywhere. This is about to be an exciting and a fantastic race, so just remember there, just hold on for a couple of minutes and we'll be getting started. So ready, as we have instructions. So in no time, we should now be getting started out on the track, and racing should begin shortly, as it is exactly at the time as we say. Race will begin shortly, and you know it will be. Let's forget about great is one thing, but now on as the race will be on, as we're just now waiting for the lights to go off and us to go racing here at Spa in these F3500A cars. As with it is, we have Nitu on pole with plenty in P2, with GT in P3. It's going to be fired lights and the light rail for a long time, as it's going to be green flags racing. We go here at Spa. It's going to be a decent start for Nitu. It's a good start for GT as well. Plenty hasn't got a good start at all. He goes very wide. He goes absolutely wide. nearly off the track as he's now made contact with Monte Carlos and so much, and chaos is already unfolding and into its 10 fun. It was going to be as they all go up through Eau Rouge, and ready or not, they nearly made contact to Wolf Club, and one of the cars was there as C-Jones heads absolutely straight to the wall, and the chaos we were talking about is already on. And Plenty also heading up through Eau Rouge, and Redion has lost it. So this is interesting now. It's all shake up. You know, it's not going to be the drivers who win every week, winning in a different category. And this is all that goes a little bit wide as Carlos. That might allow Numti to get past him there. While Nitu still leads ahead of everyone. GT is right behind him, and only 2 tenths separating the two. So this could well be an interesting fight out there as well, because the top two are going to be in their round. Remember, it's 50 minutes of racing, so a lot of time remains. So a lot of patience eventually would be shown by these drivers. Monte Carlos is running in P3 with Numti Ned in P4 so far, about a second ahead of Ryan Cooper, and Ryan is only 2 tenths ahead of Page. So the battle is going to be on, so the pressure is going to be on, and you know that these drivers are definitely not comfortable in these cars as much as they are every week in those GR3 cars. Page is going to go for it on the inside line. He sends it and outbreaks himself and goes absolutely wide, and that'll easily allow Ryan Cooper to get past him, and without any issues and in no problems he'll get past him there. He went from a long way back, and he was never going to be really making it into the final corner chicane. While RLT is in P7, Wolf is in P8 out there. Monty's teammate in P8. He seems to be, well, Smoke is in P9 as well, and I believe Kenan Williams' livery goes in a little bit of a grass out there. Well, Plenty and C-Jones, both the drivers who lost it at the start of lap 1 so far, running in P9 and P10 and 11. Remember, everybody scored points, and they scored double the points of usual format. So it's going to be interesting to see. Well, the top two are now separated by 2 tenths of each other, and this fight could be escalating very soon. You would have thought probably it's going to be, you know, a bit of a patience game by these drivers, since it's a very long race. But around Spa, pretty much, if you in race times, if you say, you know, on lap one it was 1:56, and even if you count usual race times with 2 minutes each lap, it's going to be about 25 laps of racing. If we take 2 minutes of a lap by each driver, which obviously going to be depending from driver to driver and from driver to driver, so it possibly depends how many laps can our leader pull away, as we're just at the end of lap 1, and already it is over almost 4 minutes have passed now so far. So the starters in terms of tire compounds, it is Nitu, who's got medium tires to start with, while GT has started on those soft tires, while Numti Ned has managed to make his way up to P3 on a set of soft tires as well, while Ryan Cooper has went for a set of hard tires as he and Page on a set of soft tires. And now you know why Page and how Page is getting up to Ryan out there, because Page is going to be probably on softer tires and better tire compound as compared to Ryan Cooper. And definitely that extra compounded tire, softer compounded tire, is helping him out there as they nearly make contact once again, as they earlier had a bit of a conflict out there. And what about this one here at the end of that first sector? Ryan Cooper's going to go defensive on the inside line, and he does manage to keep it for himself. That position is going to be on his as he nearly gets tagged up by Page. As now Page himself is going to be heading nearly towards the gravel, and into the gravel he's lucky enough, as I'll say, he's got a car a couple of seconds behind him, but he loses not 1 but 2 positions out there, while Smoke is just behind now as he's just ahead of Monte Carlos, who was in the top as well. He's lost out his car with a mistake, and now this is absolutely interesting. We're only 3 laps in, and the chaos, the mistakes by these drivers are happening. And if we talk about mistakes, Nitu has overtaken GT already. just for a second, we move at the back and to check out things. GT has managed to overtake Nitu, and this is how you know this is chaotic. This is all brilliant things out there, while Monte Carlos is now right behind Smoke out there for a chance of an overtake, and GT taking the lead from Nitu has pulled away over 1.6 seconds. We could only be 3 laps in the end of lap 3, now into lap 4, but the battle and chaos continues on. Obviously, commentary pace might be a little bit slow if it is, apologies about that, but because of it being a single race, not many breaks would be given an opportunity, and obviously being a solo one, you know, it's a bit different than being with a duo or being with somebody else. So now back to the top once more, 1.9 seconds between the top two, so not much of a battle currently holding place at the top. One here is on with Ryan Cooper, who's over 8 seconds to the next car, so that is pretty much between these guys here. Then it's going to be Page and RLD. Then they could nearly collide over here as Page went into the back of Ryan Cooper, and that's the reason he's lost out a lot on them at the end of that first sector. Now in on the inside line, Page is going to send it there. He might outbrake himself and run a little bit wide. He doesn't eventually, and it's going to be Page who gets the move done on RLD. Really well done. You'll be on with our Monte Carlos in P7 at the moment so far, so he's taking it nice and easy as well in P7. And then as long as you finish, remember with the new format for this season, you score points, and we're at the halfway mark of the season out right here. It's round 6 at Spa, and then we move over for the next 6 races of the season. While C. Jones has got a penalty, they'll need to slow down at the next penalty zone, and has Plenty hasn't retired. Plenty is down over in P9 with Wolf Club, who was pretty much lost out at the time then by the looks of it, as C. Jones is also now getting closer to Wolf Club as well. While we talk about battle, it is whatever it is between the top, as GT has pulled away, but definitely I think it could be the tire deficit here, because you know those soft tires are pretty much in decent conditions. They've used them a little bit less, just a little bit less than halfway through of its life, but medium tires just a bit better. But so far at the start of the race anyways, you know, you would have seen that GT got a very good start off the line as well, so you got a brilliant launch off the line. And in such situations, in such cars and races where drivers are finding it difficult to, you know, all around, and you know, need to usually maybe not used to starting at the front, or used to starting at the front of the field, so possibly that pressure could have been the thing. And as it is, I mean, they're doing a pretty decent job, 2.8 seconds behind the lead, and now dropping out a little. But when that tire deficit comes into play, when those soft tires give up on GT's car, you need to automatically going to be picking up speed and pace against him. And then it comes down to patience as well. You know, it's a 50-minute long race. We're nearly just about 9 minutes in now, 5 laps. So that's not a lot of you know, time into the race, when we're not even, you know, 1/3 of the race completed just yet. So it's only right that, you know, they take it smooth, they take it simple. And if as far as racing is concerned, we might be getting a bit of a battle between no, it's over 3 seconds, or rather, or is it though, because Monte Carlos and RLD are pretty closer to each other. So are Wolf and Jones there, so this could be a little bit of a fight escalating. Apologies if you're wanting to have some battle at the front of the field. There isn't any at the moment, and that's going to be Monte Carlos trying to get past RLD. They'll be side by side, and he does get past RLD. Brilliantly done. He swoops past the car ahead and into the bus stop chicane now. Well done to Monte Carlos. That'll be brilliant progress for them made, at least for the moment. As it stands, possible chance for them to be moving forward, but they're on a set of mediums as compared to a set of hards for RLD, so you'd only expect them to do a better job. Usually tires around Spa, I haven't probably the experience of GT7 myself, usually a lot of knowledge on F1 I'd have. The difference would be that I've raced F1 myself. I haven't really raced Gran Turismo myself a lot, so it's the knowledge of simply doing things yourself, which otherwise I would know. And I have actually raced around Spa, and that soft tire does get eaten pretty quickly if you do not take care of it. So far, I think just 6 laps in. Obviously, it's going to be the tire. It probably seems to be the worst tire, obviously, being it, but it's going to last them at least a couple of laps now. It's going to last them, Numty currently in P3 with GT in P1 so far, 2.7 seconds. So the gap is kind of maintained. You would possibly expect them to stay out for 2 to 3 more laps, but depending on how much do they burn their tires, how much do they take care of their tires. While we talk about mistakes, it is going to be Wolf Club, who by the looks of it was spun round and is only getting back to speed now and moving forward on the track. And on the minimap we could see as well there is not a lot of drivers closer to each other, while RLD, Monte Carlo's got past RLD, is catching up to Page now. 1.5 seconds between the 2 drivers out there, so it could all be opening again, while Ryan Cooper being on the harder tire. As soon as those on the soft dropping down has allowed him, Page now is going to be getting caught by Monte Carlos very soon, while the top drivers are in a not really in much of a battle. Carlos is catching up to Page now. Page being on the set of soft tires, and his tires don't really look in a good of a condition, as despite him having more fuel in his car, starting on that soft compound tire, he possibly will need to come in to the pits in a couple of laps, and those medium tires are dropping off as Carlos puts a sector, and that's his not only his personal pretty much best, but that was purple middle sector. There's at least an improvement, to say the least. So that first sector, but how smooth would they be taking it? How easy would they want to be taking it? Because 11 drivers in this race, almost everybody is having their own, and Nitu makes a mistake, and that's going to be a spin round. Nitu facing the wrong way. They're going to try and get back on the action very soon, and that was probably the best. Oh, he's went on it again. He's went for it absolutely again, and those tires are absolutely cooked, and those temperatures are going to be skyrocketed right now, because with that spin, when they did a donut again to burn out and to get back on track, they put it in the wall once more. So they are not having it easy as well. That, as I said, you could be having a very fast lap. You could put a 1 lap in qualifying. It's a consistency that's going to get you through. And another one. He's going to take Page with himself. Page nearly avoids it and just about does enough to keep himself out of it. But Nitu, despite being on racing medium tires, his tires are definitely heat up, and those tire temperatures are not going to let him be racing, and he's down to P7 already. So all that hard work, all that speed that he had, I think he can recover. Definitely a lot remaining. We're nearly just 14 to 15 minutes into the race, so a lot still remains, but he's finding it pretty difficult, and he's possibly going to stay out for now, because to make use of those medium tires for more laps, but by the looks of it, it won't be a lot. And had he been out there on the track, it would have been him taking the lead as soon as Numty pits in. But now it's going to be Ryan Cooper, who has his hard tires in best of conditions so far, and a possible 1-stop would be the way in this one if those soft hard tires are to be working. Not a lot of drivers are using the hard tire, though. Only one it was, I believe, Ryan Cooper, and then some other driver I see use a set of hard. So it's not the tire that drivers are opting for, while Jones is now getting closer to smoke, and Nitu, by the looks of it, might have had another off, and I would have thought that he's going to come into the pits on the end of that previous lap, but he's eventually decided to stay out, but he's not having it easy at all. His tires are in decent conditions, but that it's not easy at all while you are, you've got the tires heat ups. We haven't got the tire temperatures, which usually you know, if we did have, obviously would have known, but only by looking at it, you know that those tire temperatures are skyrocketed, and that's eventually the reason he's losing out again and again. He's having those, making those mistakes, which I'm sure he'll be finding it very hard to cope on with. As we talk about mistakes, we're going to see Jones go a little bit wide, and that recovery will need to be done again. Page in P11 with Page in P10. Pagey need to in P9 now, just navigating through. They might be on their way to get past Smoke out. There's definitely, look at that. It's getting better exit, despite being on the hard tire, while Plenty is in, and Plenty's made a pretty good ground after that mistake earlier on in P6. So these guys are going to get a bit of extra fuel as well, pretty much just enough to get them to the end of this race. So now as the battle stands, Ryan Cooper has went straight into the lead, and he's not pitting for at least you know, 3 to 4 more laps, or as long as he doesn't run out of fuel, because just starting on that hard tire, the tire looks in pretty good condition, but fuel is going to be the factor for the soft tire runners. It was possibly, you know, it was a tire that they needed to pit. They possibly would have had enough fuel to keep them going for a couple of more laps. And for the hard tire runners, it's the opposite. It's going to be the fuel that they'll need to pit again. So RLD also being on the set of hard tires, which is interesting. I thought it was only 2 drivers, but it's a little bit more than 2. So Namty is now in P5. GT, who pitted for the set of mediums, is already on his way up to P2. But interesting thing here would be to see whether they'll be able to do a one-stop here, because if that soft tire is going to last you for 13 minutes, then possibly medium would last you for 26. Even if it does, you'll still have about 12 to, you know, 10 to 12 minutes still remaining in this race. Remember, we've got time to navigate through. We're just about we're in 17.5 minutes past so far, and if you're to be looking for any battles out there, Nitu is in P6 so far out there, with Numty in P5, while Nitu is on his way. You could see Nitu is doing a decent job out there, you know, despite the spins, despite the mistakes. He's got the speed, he's got the you know, he's got the pace he needs, he's got the one lap speed, but it's a consistency that you need. It's a consistency that you have to keep going fast, to keep driving, and forget about driving fast. It's about keeping it on the track in the first place. Meanwhile, these two could be giving us a little bit of a battle, and that'll be RLD and Monte Carlos, both being on a different set of tires out there, as Monty's going to go for it on the inside line. Does he go a little bit wide to allow RLD to come back at him? No, he doesn't. And a brilliant move from Monte Carlos, and fantastically done. He's doing a pretty good job so far as racing and overtaking is concerned. He's done a brilliant job, and he's been in the mix out of all these drivers so far. So you know that he's doing a decent job. He's got a decent speed as well, and he's another example of having a one-lap speed, but it's a consistency that you need. But remember, his race from Deep Forest Race 2, he had a fantastic race and won it in P1 ahead of everyone, if I am not wrong. So you know that he's doing a brilliant job out there while going for battles and looking for battles. RLD and Carlos are still closer, but within a couple of seconds only. Now Numtined and Nitu, along with C Jones, not far behind these guys, but Nitu still staying out on those medium tires, while Numtined has already pitted and is a pit stop ahead of these guys, while these guys are about a pit stop behind at the moment. So you know, it's not it's an about as Ryan Cooper's now into the pits, and indeed it was the fuel that was going to be stopping them. So interesting to see, have they changed their tires? And if I think, you know, by the looks of it, if drivers are to go for a 2-stop strategy here, do they go for another set of softs, or do they go for a set of mediums? Because possibly if they are to go for a set of hard tires now, Ryan Cooper, it would have been the thing that they don't even change tires, but they definitely have changed tires. Monte Carlos, along with C Jones, need to, and finally now into the pits. So if these drivers are to go for a set of hards right now, which should either see them to the end of this race, which I don't think so, because possible 20 minutes of hard tire is gonna be lasting. So I'd say that possibly for that last 10 minutes of the race, or for the last 15 minutes of this race, the drivers are possibly going to be going for a set of soft tires. So it'll be a soft tire battle at the end of it, in my opinion, because you know that you gotta keep it going, you gotta be battling, but you also gotta keep it going. So a lot will be you know, will be taken into consideration. While GT is currently in the lead by over 8.3 seconds to RLD, who's on a set of hards and is yet to pit in this race, I'd assume. While Nimtinet is in P3 as well, same as TT, pretty much. You know, P3 of top P1 and 3 for the Numti TT Numti squad by these drivers, while Ryan Cooper for Pures Racing in P4 at the moment in that Red Bull livery, which actually looks to be a stunning livery out there by the looks of it, while he's on an outlap on brand new set of hard tires. So him going for another set, exactly as I said, you know, possibly 2 hard tire sets. You know, for his strategy, bestly would be a set of hard either medium at the end, or a hard soft at the end, which I'd assume would be a soft tire, in my opinion. That's what I think. So let's see what exactly we'll be getting through, and what exactly eventually would be the case itself come the end of this race. Remember, we're nearly about to get to the halfway stage of this race, so that's about lap 22 right now, and at the end of this lap would be lap 13. So as I said, lap 25 or 26 laps we'd possibly be having in this race. And now going to the back of it, there might be a little bit of a fight between these guys here, and a bit of blue flags out on the track, and but this could be interesting with Plenty in P6, with Plenty is in P7, Smoke is in P6, but he's ahead of him. So green flag or blue flags are for all right, Page. Those, okay, I'm completely confused here as he nearly takes out Wolf Club there. Was almost taken out by these guys. Meanwhile, the 2 teammates at the back are going to be fighting each other off. That'll be Wolf, that'll be Plenty, and that'll be Smoke, trying to give each other a fight in a way. Also not trying to give each other a fight by the looks of it, just going by the looks of it. Meanwhile, this the man who's driving pretty good, and the man who's driving with speed, Monte Carlos, is going to be arriving behind them. 1.5 seconds now as it is. So if, as far as you're concerned by the lead, it is GT, who leads by over 12 seconds to RLD in P2, who is yet to pit on those hard compound tires, with Nimtinet on the same strategy as GT. They went for a soft at the start and then a medium now. Ryan Cooper has started on the hards, pitted for a set of hards, currently runs in P4. Page on a set of mediums is in P5, with Plenty in P6, his teammate in P7, and Monte Carlos is indeed now catching up to these guys well. Oh, very wide he goes absolutely wide, and we saw Smoke go a little bit on the grass, and now Monte Carlos has went a little bit wide as well, but doesn't matter, because by the looks of it, he's only gotten closer to Smoke out there, and heading towards turn 1, a proper opportunity for Smoke to get past, for Monty to get past him, is round the outside. Monty's going to stick his car around there, as Smoke might get a better exit. No, he won't, or will he though? But definitely those medium tires on Carlos's car will help him. Medium and a little bit brand newer tires will help him get through and in towards P7. He takes up the Eau Rouge and ready on pretty smooth. Well, we talk about the back of the grid, and it is need to, from after all those mistakes, he finds himself in P10 at the moment, and he was there on a set of mediums, so he's went for another set of mediums. That means he's on a medium so far, and it would be only right, either you possibly would go for a set of soft tires at the end. You know it's a 15-minute race, so it's only right for drivers to have a 2-stop race right here. And there is a spin. There is sure a spin at the moment as we're just going to move forward to take a look who it is. And it might have been Plenty by the looks of it. Could be Smoke, but Carlos is on his own. Plenty Smoke. Might have been Smoke. Smoke was he wasn't ahead of his teammate, so not sure what would basically be. And there's a bit of a yellow flags out wave, yellow flags waved, while RLD is now in the pits. That'll promote Page. Carlos should be promoted as well. Not sure about Plenty if that of that overcut for RLD would be enough to exit out ahead of Plenty, or it won't be enough. And as far as battles are concerned, not many are happening right out on the track. Well, Wolf Club is on his own. I wonder if he wants to continue or retire on, and Plenty will just be getting a bit of a better exit, a bit of an exit, and he's got his car full, completely full. So as we talk about full, so he's went for another set of mediums here, so I wonder if he's going to go for a set of for a one stop here, hard medium, because it's possible, it's not impossible. And you know, with Ryan Cooper, he's went hard, but he had to pit very early because of the fuel that he was starting on. With RLD staying out longer, he stayed out for almost 14 laps, so that's nearly half the race that he stayed out on those hard tires. If he's able to make these sort of medium tires go to the end, he's gonna be, or even if he is not, he at least has saved up for fuel time. You know, burning out time right now where he didn't have much to lose. You know, staying out on those hard tires, and in the ending moments and in those ending, you know, laps of the race where everybody, even if drivers are indeed, you know, trying to pit for a set of softs at the end or a set of medium tires, he wouldn't have to stop for a set of for fuel. He wouldn't have to make that extra time for fuel by the looks of it. He's already catching up to Smoke, who's in P7 and running out of fuel. So these battles could really come alive once more. While Ryan from the lead pitted. He did pit from the lead, actually. He was in P3 already, I believe, and he might have pitted from the lead. And those medium tires look pretty much in decent conditions from both the teammates GT and Numpty so far. And now Page is in P4 as well, being on those medium tires, while Carlos is in P5 with Plenty in P6, and now RLD is already past Smoke out there, and the move has been done. What about Nitu, who's going to be looking to get past Jones there, as Wolf has at the moment retired out of the session, even double the points if they even finish P11. How many over points were for P11 would be double for that position in this race, but they decided not to. They were not having a good time at all. Well, we talk about having good times. It is our race leader GT who is indeed having a good time, leading by over 17 seconds, and that lead is absolutely a lot. That lead is very much a huge margin, and now pretty much we're halfway through, past the halfway mark in this race. First half is done, the other half is remaining here. Eventually we're just looking for battles, we're looking for drivers going wheel to wheel, but you know, despite having the speed, despite having the pace, Nito just hasn't been able to get past Jones here. And you know, it could be multiple factors. It could be that he's finding it difficult, it could be that he's not having it easy at all. Meanwhile, one man who has made a mistake, and that's going to be Monte Carlos. So that's a bit of an issue with him as well. So he's making the speed, he's showing the speed out there, but eventually makes a mistake, which ends up slowing him down by the looks of it. And you know that now, I think the only battle we're going to be getting at right now, at least for the moment, is going to be Nitu and Jones, but that also is over 1 second, so 1.4 seconds between the two. And the next battle we're going to be getting on track would be Monte Carlos and RLD, indeed, with a mistake from Monty that's promoted Plenty to get past him into P5. Well, he's over 6.9 seconds ahead of him. It is Monte Carlos who's in P6 with RLD in P7, and definitely that mistake from RLD, from Monte Carlos would definitely allow RLD to get closer, would allow RLD to be there. And you know, by the things of this race so far. Also, a lot of the drivers, you know, in the complicity I was about to say, but you know, simply the pressure of each other, the pressure of losing the car, the pressure of making mistakes, and you have to take kudos. Even those who have had speed, consistency have been the issue. So right now, even if you don't have much of a battle chance out on the track, simply just keeping it on the track, even if you don't have the speed, you know, Jones and Nitu right now are doing a decent job, both of them, and Nitu isn't even going for Jones to fight Carl at this point so far, so it could be a couple of things. Well, RLD and Monte Carlos closer to each other, but over 2.6 seconds. And the next battle is probably that's the closest, and it's the closest between these drivers, first of all. Okay, Smoke is in P10, Nitu and Jones, as Nitu is now gaining on Jones, and anytime now you'd see you'd see Nitu get past, see Jones there. Opportunity will be on his way, chance will be on his way, and you know it is out and about for them to get past. Ryan Cooper runs in P3. It's a bit of a quiet race, while Numty Scott is having a 1-2 here with GT in P1, Numty in P2. The battle we'd be looking to see that is heating up and spicing up out on the track. The only battle running out there, P9 for Nitu, just ahead of Smoke, while the gap did go down under 1 second, almost 4/10 the gap between the two was for a moment, is now again over 1.3 seconds. It is, so that's out and about by the looks of it. And you know, not a lot going on. I think when you're looking for things going on in this race, it's about, you know, we're nearly just about 33 minutes in, 32 and a half. So as soon as we're 35 minutes in, it'll be 15 minutes remaining in this race, and those 15 minutes will be very crucial in terms of strategy. You know, now out and about, a possible easy soft tire from here could be a good option for GT, or a set of mediums from here, while Nimty will need to come into the pits exactly this lap, and they're doing exactly that. So it'll be interesting to see them, and they'll need to come in early. And now same goes for GT, probably by the end of this lap as well, or next lap, but they will also need to come anytime soon. It's a long lap around Spa. It's a huge lap. It's a pretty big lap, so even if you do run out of fuel, you'll be probably you'd be, you know, moving really slowly, and that's not the case what you want. So a bit of a fuel refresh, and Nimty would indeed be getting a lot of fuel. So what I was saying with RLD earlier, it's the fuel that even if they decide to come anytime soon, first of all, their medium tires are pretty good, and they've used a decent amount, nearly half tank, so still more than half the tank is remaining. They've probably used 1/4 of the race, but they've used half of half. But it'll be an interesting thing. I think still they might just have enough fuel at the end of their stint for them to continue on. Well, GT is still staying out in the race lead. Ryan Cooper now is in P2, but again with Ryan, running out of fuel is going to be the issue here, because he's got only 1/2 of his fuel tank remaining, while his tires are nearly just not even halfway through. So it's all to play for. Oh, well, the gaps are going to be on Numty, 1.7 seconds behind a car. Ahead of the next car behind him, and RLD is the one who's in P7. Jones was looking like going to be fought by Nitu. Looks like Nitu was not able to catch up to him, and Smoke runs on his own, while finally GT is now into the pit. So I mean, honestly, just about, apart from spins and on a couple of overtakes, not a lot has just happened in this race so far. So we're looking for battles, but then drivers, as I said, you know, different strategies, and also different car in a 50-minute race. It's almost an endurance race, so you know, 50 minutes altogether. You know, they were experimenting, and it was kind of an unknown, you know. Even if you knew what strategy we were going to be doing, it was only about what options you had, not what you were going to be doing or you were sure about doing. And, you know, Ryan Cooper both the times was possibly, you know, coming in, and now I think he's went for another set of hards, which is interesting. And I'm not sure whether if it's allowed to keep the same compounded tire all 3 times, because usually, you know, if this was Formula 1, you were going to be able to change the tire, and yes, indeed, he has changed his tire during dry conditions. Obviously, they were going to be needed to change the set of, you know, tire compound, but brilliantly done for him. He exits out in P4, and it's a great exit, and right here might be a battle. We would be on to GT, while he's over 15 seconds ahead with Carlos in P2. Empty net Ryan and Ryan Cooper are in 3 and 4 within a second of each other, while RLD is within 1 second of them as well. So the battle is on. So this could be playing right about here, with Nitu and Stones in P6, Nitu in P7 now, probably getting a bit of promotion, while others decided to pit. Plenty using P9, Page in P8, with Nitu himself in P7, and this is the battle that we're going to be looking at. These are the drivers who are going to be battling each other at the moment on the track, and Ryan Cooper versus RLD versus Nia versus Nemty Ned. It's all going to be playing, and it's rather going to be the opportunity. It's rather going to be a battle we're going to be looking at will be here between these drivers, and it has to be between Nemty and Ryan Cooper. Both of them being on the same tire, both of them nearly pitted all together, with the Ryan Cooper being a slightly pitting or lap earlier than Nemty out there. So this could be interesting, and with Nemty Scott leading 1-2 before the pit stops. Monte Carlos is between these guys. He's going to be coming out. He's going to be getting out of the way very soon, but Nemty might need to get out of Ryan's way as soon as possible here. Nemty's going to go for it around the outside, as Ryan's going to send it on the inside line to get the move done, and brilliantly done there as Nemty stayed on the racing line. Ryan Cooper gets past him into P3, which would possibly become P2 as soon as we have a driver out of our way after the pit stops, and that is brilliantly done. Ryan Cooper into P3 despite starting at P7, you know, outside the top 6. In qualifying, he gave it all, while we're still going to be watching out this one, because it might look done, but it is not done at all, and the battle will be continuing on, because Ryan Cooper and Nemty Ned are going to be fighting each other. It's on Nemty how long he fights Ryan for, but it's pretty much both of them are on a set of same tires. Both of them are on a set of medium tires right here, so you know, it's all between these drivers and what they will be doing in the next 10 or 11 minutes, the remaining time of this race, which would possibly pass through rapidly, as now it would be the time as 1 second Ryan Cooper pulls away by. But you know, if there is to be fighting, if the drivers are to be fighting each other off, I think it'll be in these remaining laps. 1.5 seconds between Nitu and Page as well at the moment. So, you know, as I said, it'll have to be right now, because, you know, it would be pretty difficult considering what they're going to do, what they're going to be, you know, following moving forward. But, you know, now as Monty's out of the way, Ryan's in P3, Nemty in P2, sorry, Ryan P2. Nemty is in P3, but RLD is jumping right behind them as well. RLD is right about in P4, so you know that he's, you know, not gonna get tired, or at least not gonna leave them behind for the moment. And I would have been correct, because even when RLD pitted for a set of mediums, he possibly wouldn't have pitted for a set of hards, and for a set of for the bit of extra fuel. And As far as pit stops are concerned, I'd assume that they could go to the end of it, as long as fuel is not a problem. While Plenty is up in P7 out there at the bottom with Jones in P9. Nitu is going to come into the pits, and their final stop for a set of soft tyres is going to be on now as well. And finally, we're into the final 10 minutes of this race. Well, we would have thought a battle will be on between these drivers. Ryan has pulled away, and so has, or no, he might have not. I would have said that Nitu, as Numpty has pulled away from RLD, but he indeed has not, and RLD now is catching up to Numpty net out there, and RLD is in P4, but with his improvements, with his medium tyre being a couple of laps older, could be a bit of a deficit on Numpty, and Numpty could have a bit of an edge over the tyres, but when pressure is high, when performance is what matters, so does the consistency, and with the heart beating under that helmet, it could all go wrong, and you definitely don't want to let it go wrong, especially into lap 22. While how good you've drove for so far this race, and in a 50-minute race, if you've drove absolutely brilliant for the first 40 minutes, you don't want it to go wrong or anything wrong happen to you in the remaining 10 minutes out there. Even when we have drivers close range, they're losing or gaining to one another. Now RLD has just lost out to Numpty there, 1.8 seconds, and you'd now assume that possibly, you know, it's only right that either Numpty's pulling away or RLD is slowing down here, because, you know, it's about what they're going to be moving through, but the tyre deficit, as I said, would have possibly been the reason. While Numpty pitted a little bit later, RLD's on a couple of, you know, a couple of older tyre, a couple of laps older tyres here, and this is probably the closest anybody is on the track at the moment to each other. So that's pretty much it of what we're going to be following, or what we are following out there. So Nitu is in P9 at the moment, with Smoke in P10. Right. And about our race leader is moving towards lap 23 now. Still enough time into, you know, 43 minutes, so 7 minutes remain. So it's not going to be 7 laps, but it could be at least 3 to 4 laps maximum. I'd say possibly 4 laps from here. So 27 laps could be a possible chance, possible, you know, time set here. So TT leads ahead of Ryan Cooper in P2, with Numpty in P3, followed by RLD in P4. Page in P5 is doing a pretty good job maintaining the top 5 out there, with Monte Carlos in P6 as well, followed by Plenty, the man who you usually see in the top 3, in the top 5 on a different set of cars, but around here he finds himself in P7, with Jones in P8 as well. Followed by Nitu, who qualified on pole, did a brilliant race for the first set of it, but as soon as he lost out, hasn't been able to recover, is in P9 at the moment. With Smoke, who's racing on his own as well, is in P10 right now, as all eyes are now on our race leader. How long they could do it, how long will they be taking it in the remaining 5 minutes, in the remaining time of this race. It's an endurance, and these guys are really enduring through. They've done a brilliant job at racing, and I think, sure, we've lost one driver. We've lost Wolf. We're starting with 11 and finishing with 10, but that's a good amount of drivers, in my opinion, you know, for a first race, for the first experiment of a race. So to only lose one driver from such a race, and sure, we've had incident from drivers, but as soon as more of the session has went on, drivers have gotten comfortable with the car more and more. You know, they've just aced these cars. So definitely, if they have more practice and if there's regular races with these cars, they would be able to reach races a lot better. Maybe you could definitely argue that's not been a good racing. You know, it's not been an entertaining race, but I think for a first timer, for it to be you know, an experiment, it's decent. I'm sure drivers would have enjoyed this, and for me personally, I love Formula One, and seeing these cars, be it no racing, but just being keeping a personal opinion, I like these cars roaming around. So obviously, as it is, I was going to say about it, a little bit of a battle, but it's about pretty much, you know, the closest on the track. That we have 1.8 seconds between Jones and Nitu right now, so maybe we're going to see that fight soon. But both of them are on same lap, same compounded tire, and almost similar tire health as well. So not a lot you could expect, unless some mistake or a big mistake comes on to play, or it happens from these drivers out there. And just the end of lap 24 now will be coming up to the end of it. Will be GT 40 minutes and about 46 minutes and 40 seconds to end lap 24 and into lap 25. If it is to play possible 2 more laps, I think I possibly assumed lap 26 laps. So I think maximum we'll be getting probably 27 laps. And if it's to exceed that, it'll be 28, but I don't think it'll be 28 laps. Meanwhile, Jones, by the looks of it, is losing a little bit of a time, and Nitu is gaining a little bit of a ground on Jones, and he's got a huge spin, and he's going to be spun round. He's just loses it on his own, and he's still spinning around as he just comes to a stop nearly. And again, only when we thought there's going to be a bit of a battle, and out of nothing, Nitu creates something there. So he had a huge spin. He kept spinning round and round and round again. You know, that confidence that you need, that comfort that you need to feel to have a fight, you know, even when he was catching. And as I said, you know, 1 lap speed or pace is was never a problem for Nitu coming into this race. It would have been consistency, and it certainly seems to be. And I think these mistakes are the things which could make or break for you in these races. And you know, it's gonna be coming up onto play moving forward. I think now about our race leader into, you know, he's going to be coming up to the end of it. Possible lap 25 lap 26 will be starting, so lap 27 will possibly be starting. And if they let him do another lap, because otherwise it's pretty much going to be the final lap. So far it doesn't say the final lap, so I'd assume that next time by will be the final lap, which would be lap 27. So far in this race as it stands, JT leads ahead of Ryan Cooper by over 10 seconds, who's also ahead of Numty by 4.5 seconds. And it's RLD in P4 with 8 seconds ahead to the next car, 4.7 seconds ahead of the car behind him. P5 for Page, P6 for Monte Carlos, who's 3.1 seconds to Page, the least of a gap between drivers so far. Which he was 16 seconds now, plenty to Carlos, but he's only 3.2 seconds to Jones, who's in P8 so far, with Nitu in P9 and Smoke in P10. Our race leader is going nice and easy. He's taking it fantastically, and you have to say, if consistency is to be consistency is king, and GT has done it. I mean, you know, he's done an excellent job, and lap times have been very consistent for him as well. You know, 54.0, 208 probably would have been the pit stop laps, I believe. So 55, even after the pit stops, 55.8, 5, 53.5, 53.0, 52.7, 53.6. 54.0. He's done an excellent job, and it indeed is the final lap. But I don't know if it's going to let him start again. So indeed it will be 26 laps here around Spa, and if it was anything to be taken, it was going to be the consistency from this race. You could have the speed of on one lap, but it is the consistency that you need, and it was going to be GT who's going to conquer it to win here at Spa. 50 minutes, and Ryan Cooper is just going to finish second to GT with an excellent job as well. Numpty is going to make it to third place and a double podium as a team, while RLD would have thought he's going to give them a challenge. He stood where he would have thought he was the best and ends up in P4, and a brilliant result for Page after a long time in P5. Monte Carlos does brilliant as well. Apart from a couple of mistakes, he drove fantastically and get himself a P6. And usually the man who we always see at the top is going to come in P7 to win this race. That'll be plenty in P7, while Jones will be in P8. Smoke, who has already taken the checkered flag, and it is Nitu now the final and the remaining driver at the moment. Qualified on pole. He did a brilliant job, and so was about, they qualified on pole, but mistakes came in. Unfortunately, it wasn't their day, but still brilliantly driven by GT and all the drivers around out there. Brilliantly done by everyone. So that's pretty much going to be the end of it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just have a look at the result out there. That is going to be GT finishing in P1, did an excellent race with Ryan Cooper in P2. Ryan probably had the quietest of race out of all these drivers. He was never really involved in any battles out there, but in a race of his own still managed to come in P2. Numpty in P3 to make it a double podium for their team, with RLD doing a brilliant job for Apex Originals in P4. Page for Team Pain in P5, with Monte Carlos in P6. Plenty in P7, with Jones coming up in P8. Well, Nitu in P9 after a couple of mistakes, with the Smoke coming in P10, finishing a lap down, and Smoke was the one who finished completely in P10, and then Wolf Club, I believe it was, it was Wolf Club who DNF'd, and the only driver did not. 11 out of 10 drivers finished. It was a decent one. It was a good experiment, so hope you like it. Hope you liked it. Once again, it was myself, Zabi, bringing you guys all the action. Congratulations to our winner and all to our top 3 in this race, GT, Numpty, and Ryan Cooper. Well done, everybody. This was from Apex Originals Racing, bringing you guys all the action. Hope you all enjoyed it. So that's pretty much going to be the end of it. So we were here in Spa. It was decent fun, decent action, and interesting to see a bit of different class of cars out there. So a new flavor to the championship, it just added. Remember, and not to forget, it doubled the points. So wherever they usually would have gotten 50 points, they'd get 100. Not to forget that. So that's pretty much going to be the end, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you all really had fun. I sure did. So that's going to be the end of it. It was myself, Zabi, and from all of us, bringing you guys all the action and the commentary action out there as well. And from all of us here at Apex Original and Racing, it's a bye-bye. Enjoy the rest of the evening and come back next week. Adios.